was the summer of 1587. A small fleet of English ships approached the shores of Roanoke Island, a remote sliver of land nestled off the coast of what is now North Carolina. On board were over 100 men, women, and children, colonists who had left everything behind for the promise of a new life in the New World. Their leader, John White, had sailed with them as the appointed governor, charged with establishing England's first permanent settlement in North America. But this journey, filled with hope and ambition, would soon turn into a nightmare of confusion and disappearance. When John White returned to England for supplies, he left behind his daughter, Eleanor Dare, and his infant granddaughter, Virginia Dare, the first English child born on American soil. When he returned 3 years later, the colony was gone. Not a single soul remained. No bodies, no evidence of violence, just one eerie clue, a word, CROATOAN, carved into a tree. What happened to the settlers of Roanoke? Were they absorbed by friendly tribes, killed in a violent raid, or did something far more sinister occur? The mystery of the Lost Colony has haunted historians for over 400 years. Today, we'll unravel the tangled web of clues, theories, and discoveries that surround Roanoke. Welcome to one of the greatest unsolved mysteries in American history. The backdrop: why Roanoke? To understand the mystery of Roanoke, we must first look at the larger picture of the time. The late 16th century was a period of fierce competition between European powers, each vying for control of the New World. Spain, Portugal, France, and England were all racing to plant their flags across uncharted territories, hoping to tap into the vast wealth and resources of the Americas. For England, the New World represented not just wealth, but also a strategic foothold against Spain, its greatest rival. So Walter Raleigh, a prominent English explorer and close ally of Queen Elizabeth I, was determined to establish a permanent English colony in North America. Raleigh believed that an English settlement along the Atlantic coast would be critical in challenging Spanish dominance in the region, and thus the idea of Roanoke was born. In 1584, Raleigh secured a royal patent from Queen Elizabeth, giving him the right to explore, colonize, and govern any lands not already claimed by a Christian prince. His first attempt to establish a colony at Roanoke in 1585 ended in failure. The settlers, primarily soldiers and explorers, struggled to survive in the harsh environment and clashed with local Native American tribes. After a difficult winter, they abandoned the colony and returned to England. But Raleigh was not deterred. In 1587, he organized a second expedition, this time sending not soldiers but families, men, women, and children, to establish a permanent colony. This new group of settlers was led by John White, an artist and experienced explorer who had been part of the earlier Roanoke expedition. White's mission was clear: to establish a self-sustaining colony and build a foothold for future English settlers. But as we will soon discover, the fate of these settlers was far more mysterious than anyone could have predicted. The settlers. Who were they? The story of Roanoke is not just a tale of a colony, it's the story of individuals, people who dreamed of building a new life in a strange and untamed land. Among the settlers were families, tradesmen, farmers, and artisans, each hoping to carve out a future in the New World. John White was a man of vision. As a cartographer and artist, he had a deep appreciation for the land and its people. He had traveled to Roanoke before and knew the challenges that lay ahead. But this time, the stakes were higher. His own family was among the settlers. White's daughter, Eleanor Dare, and her husband Ananias had come to Roanoke with their newborn daughter, Virginia Dare. This small child would become a symbol of hope for the fledgling colony, being the first English child born on American soil. But these settlers faced immense challenges from the moment they arrived. Roanoke Island, though beautiful, was a difficult place to survive. The land was wild, the climate harsh, and the settlers were cut off from the familiar comforts of their homeland. They were not soldiers or adventurers, they were ordinary people trying to build a new home in a world filled with unknowns. The colony was vulnerable, supplies were running low, relations with local tribes were tenuous at best. It was in this precarious situation that John White made a fateful decision. He would sail back to England to gather more supplies and return as quickly as possible. Little did he know, It would be the last time he ever saw his family or the Roanoke settlers again. First signs of trouble. Life in the New World was unforgiving. The settlers of Roanoke, though eager and hopeful, were soon confronted with the harsh realities of their new environment. The fertile land they had been promised was far less accommodating than expected. Crops failed to yield enough food, and hunting in the thick forests proved difficult. As summer gave way to autumn, the settlers faced the threat of starvation. But food wasn't their only problem. While the Roanoke settlers had hoped for friendly relations with the local Native American tribes, the reality was much more complicated. The indigenous people, who had once interacted with earlier English explorers, had grown wary of the newcomers. Tensions quickly escalated and misunderstandings became frequent. A fragile truce hung by a thread, leaving the colony increasingly isolated and vulnerable. The Roanoke settlers found themselves caught in the middle of two powerful Native American groups, the CROATOAN and the CROATOAN. While the CROATOAN, led by their chief Mateo, were more inclined to cooperate with the English, the CROATOAN viewed the settlers as intruders. The uneasy peace was shattered when violence broke out between the settlers and the CROATOAN, leading to mistrust and further isolation. In this desperate situation, John White knew that the colony couldn't survive much longer without help. Supplies were running dangerously low, and the settlers faced the very real possibility of being abandoned in a hostile land. White made the difficult decision to sail back to England to secure more provisions, leaving behind his family and the settlers who depended on him. He promised to return within a year, but fate had other plans. As White sailed away, the colony was left in a fragile state, and unbeknownst to him, the world back home would soon be plunged into chaos. John White's journey back to England should have been swift, but when he arrived in 1587, his country was on the brink of war. The Spanish Armada, Spain's formidable fleet, threatened England's shores. Every available ship was commandeered for the war effort, leaving White stranded in England. For 3 agonizing years, he was unable to return to Roanoke. His thoughts were consumed by the fate of his daughter Eleanor, his granddaughter Virginia, and the colonists who were depending on him for survival. In 1590, after the defeat of the Spanish Armada, White finally secured passage back to Roanoke. But when he arrived at the colony, he was met with an eerie and unsettling scene. The settlement was completely deserted. There were no signs of life, no bodies, no evidence of a struggle. The houses and fortifications were dismantled, as if the colonists had packed up and left in an orderly manner. The only clue, a single word carved into a tree, CROATOAN. White had instructed the settlers to carve a Maltese cross as a sign of distress if they were in danger, but there was no such symbol. The word CROATOAN seemed to point to the nearby CROATOAN Island, home of the friendly tribe led by Chief Mateo. White took this as a sign that the colonists had moved there. Yet, despite his efforts to investigate, White was unable to reach CROATOAN Island due to bad weather. Desperate and defeated, he was forced to return to England without ever discovering the fate of his family and the lost colony. And thus, the mystery began. What happened to the 115 men, women, and children of Roanoke? Were they absorbed into the CROATOAN tribe? Did they meet a more tragic fate? Over the centuries, countless theories have emerged, each one more tantalizing than the last. Theories: what really happened? The mystery of the Lost Colony of Roanoke has fascinated historians, archaeologists, and conspiracy theorists for centuries. Without physical evidence, many different theories have emerged to explain the disappearance of the settlers. Some are grounded in historical fact, while others veer into the realm of the bizarre. Theory 1: integration with the CROATOAN tribe. The most widely accepted theory is that the Roanoke colonists were absorbed into the nearby CROATOAN tribe. The CROATOANs had been allies of the English during earlier expeditions, and their village on CROATOAN Island, modern-day Hatteras Island, was close enough for the settlers to reach. Over the years, some reports from later settlers and explorers suggested that certain Native American tribes in the region had members with European features, light skin, blue eyes, and even English-style clothing. Could these have been the descendants of the Lost Colony? Archaeological digs on Hatteras Island have uncovered artifacts that suggest the presence of English settlers. These include items like iron tools, pottery, and gun flints that would not have been native to the region. However, while these findings suggest some level of interaction between the Roanoke settlers and the CROATOANs, there is no definitive proof that the colony relocated there. Theory 2. Death by starvation or disease. Another possibility is that the Roanoke colonists simply couldn't survive. The New World was a harsh and unforgiving environment. With limited supplies and no access to reinforcements, the settlers may have succumbed to starvation, disease, or exposure to the elements. The winter months could have been especially brutal, and without food or proper shelter, many may have perished. If this were the case, the colony could have fragmented, with survivors attempting to seek help from nearby Native American tribes. However, no mass graves or signs of such a catastrophe have ever been found, leaving this theory speculative. Theory 3. Attack by hostile tribes. One of the darker theories suggests that the Roanoke colonists were attacked and wiped out by hostile Native American tribes. While the CROATOANs were friendly, other tribes like the CROATOAN had been openly hostile to the English. Some historians believe that the tensions between the settlers and the CROATOAN may have escalated into violence, leading to the destruction of the colony. However, there are no records or archaeological evidence of a large-scale attack. No remains of weapons or signs of a battle have ever been discovered, raising doubts about whether this was the true cause of the colony's disappearance. Theory 4. Spanish or French interference. Another theory posits that external forces, specifically the Spanish or French, might have played a role in the disappearance of the Roanoke colonists. The Spanish had a significant presence in the southern parts of North America, and there were occasional skirmishes between Spanish and English interests. Some suggest that Spanish explorers or settlers threatened by the English presence might have attacked or forcibly relocated the Roanoke settlers. Similarly, French explorers in the region could have influenced the outcome. The presence of other European powers in the New World made the political landscape particularly volatile. If the colonists had crossed paths with hostile foreign forces, their fate might have been sealed by violent confrontation or forced assimilation. Yet, historical records and evidence from Spanish and French expeditions do not conclusively support this theory. Theory 5. Cannibalism. One of the more macabre theories involves cannibalism. The harsh conditions of the colony, combined with severe food shortages, might have driven the settlers to extreme measures. Reports from later expeditions mention signs of cannibalism among other settlers in similar situations. While no direct evidence of cannibalism has been found at Roanoke, the theory remains part of the broader discussion of the colony's fate. If true, this would indicate a complete breakdown of the social order and survival instincts taking precedence over ethics. However, the lack of physical evidence makes this theory speculative rather than conclusive. Theory 6. The supernatural and alien theories. Some theories venture into the realm of the supernatural and the unknown. Various legends and myths have suggested that the disappearance of the Roanoke colonists could be attributed to supernatural forces or extraterrestrial intervention. Stories of ghostly apparitions, alien abductions, and ancient curses have fueled speculation, though there is no scientific evidence to support these ideas. These theories, while intriguing, are not grounded in historical or archaeological fact. They reflect the enduring fascination with the unknown and the human tendency to seek extraordinary explanations for inexplicable events. Section 6. Modern discoveries and investigations. In recent years, modern technology and archaeology have breathed a new life into the search for answers. Excavations at potential sites, such as Hatteras Island, have revealed artifacts that suggest possible contact between the Roanoke settlers and Native American tribes. These findings include European-style pottery and tools, which may indicate some form of integration or interaction. DNA analysis has also played a role in exploring the fate of the lost colony. Genetic studies of Native American populations in the region have revealed some genetic markers that suggest possible European ancestry, which could support the theory of integration with the CROATOAN tribe. Yet, definitive proof remains elusive. Despite these advancements, the mystery of Roanoke remains unresolved. New theories and discoveries continue to emerge, but the complete truth about what happened to the lost colony remains just beyond reach. The search for answers is ongoing, and each new discovery brings us a step closer to understanding the fate of those early settlers. Legacy of the Lost Colony. The Lost Colony of Roanoke has left an indelible mark on American history and culture. Its disappearance has become a symbol of the challenges and uncertainties faced by early settlers in the New World. The story of Roanoke has inspired countless books, movies, and documentaries, becoming a fixture in American folklore. The legacy of Roanoke also extends to its influence on subsequent colonization efforts. The lessons learned from the Roanoke experience were instrumental in the eventual establishment of Jamestown and other successful colonies. The mystery of Roanoke has become a cautionary tale about the perils of early exploration and the importance of preparation and communication. As we reflect on the lost colony, we are reminded of the human spirit's resilience and the enduring quest for answers. The mystery may never be fully resolved, but it continues to captivate and challenge our understanding of history and human experience. Conclusion: what the lost colony teaches us. The story of the Lost Colony of Roanoke is more than a historical puzzle. It is a profound reminder of the complexities of human endeavors and the unknowns that shape our lives. The colony's disappearance raises questions about survival, communication, and the human spirit's capacity to face adversity. In studying the Lost Colony, we confront our own limitations and the mysteries that lie beyond our grasp. The unanswered questions and unresolved theories compel us to continue exploring, seeking knowledge and understanding. Roanoke's legacy is a testament to the enduring power of curiosity and the unyielding pursuit of truth. As we close the chapter on the Lost Colony, we are reminded that some mysteries may never be fully solved, but in seeking answers, we uncover new insights, inspire future exploration, and celebrate the rich tapestry of history that binds us all.